There is a reason so many people dislike post-movie Mr. Krabs. And it's not just that he is greedy actually. He has always been very greedy.
Mr. Krabs, I can't believe I'm saying this, but how could you trade Spongebob for 62 cents?
You think I could have gotten more?
The thing is, when Mr. Krabs went too far in pre-movie, like in Jellyfish Hunter and Patty Hype, he got what was coming to him. When Mr. Krabs tried scamming SpongeBob in Patty Hype, bro got jumped by a mob like 1 minute later. When he, once again, tried scamming SpongeBob in One Krabs Trash, he didn't get shit. In Clams, when he was just a giant jerk the whole episode, he literally got eaten by a clam. But just like with Plankton, something changed in post-movie SpongeBob. You very rarely see people complaining about Krabs in pre-movie, except for maybe Krabbyland. But there are so many newer episodes where people absolutely hate him. And this is partly because he is cheap and greedy to a greater extent than in pre-movie seasons. Sure. But the problem is that Mr. Krabs' karma doesn't function properly. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's SpongeBob Tropes episode.
Hey!
Think about how many times the Krusty Krab has been destroyed. A lot of times, right? Did the Krusty Krab get destroyed in One Course Meal after Krabs almost drove Plankton to suicide? Did it get destroyed in Skill Crane after Krabs emotionally manipulated Squidward for the whole episode? No, it did not in either of those episodes, but it did get destroyed in Pat No Pay when all Krabs wanted was for Patrick to pay for all the Krabby Patties he ate. This is a very common trend in SpongeBob and especially post-movie SpongeBob. Karma doesn't work with Mr. Krabs. Often, when he really deserves punishment, the episode doesn't give him any punishment and lets him come out on top. The same goes for the few episodes where he is actually in the right and still ends up being punished in the end. It seems like the writers sometimes can't understand if Krabs is the bad guy in the episode. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the season 11 episode Plankton Paranoia. I actually enjoyed this episode a lot until the Krabs karma happened again in the ending. So this episode shows that Plankton, Mr. Krabs' nemesis, actually helped arrange a party in Krabs' honor, and in the episode, Plankton is actually a really good guy. But Krabs just had to intentionally drop the recipe in the chum bucket, which turns out to be a bomb destroying the whole chum bucket, as Krabs walks away laughing. This did not sit right with me, and was actually the reason I came up with the idea for this video. How is this justified after an episode where Plankton did nothing but be nice to Krabs? Are we supposed to be cheering on Krabs for like blowing up the home of the person who arranged the celebration for him? Like, it's so twisted. Think of in Squeaky Boots when Krabs was a cheapskate for the first couple of minutes and then proceeded to get his comeuppance for the remaining 9 minutes, with the squeaking torturing him. The reason modern Krabs is a pretty hated character ain't only cause he became cheaper, he used to get punished when being cheap, but now he doesn't. Mutiny on the Krusty is another good example of Krabs' karma not working. Krabs is so terrible here. He first steals money from all his customers and then he comes back forcing everyone to beg him.
Why would I want to be captain to such a sorry bunch of lubbers? I'm through. And that's coming out of your pay!
Mr. Krabs, this job calls for a dictator like you! Do something, Mr. Krabs!
Big me.
We're begging, please!
Not buying it.
He is a giant douchebag the whole episode, showing little regard for everyone's survival when attacked by the giant monster. And then the episode ends with him sitting on the roof of the Krusty Krab as everyone else pulls it back to Bikini Bottom. Just changing it so Krabs has to drag it back instead could have saved the episode a little bit, but since Krabs can never be punished when he's in the wrong, we get another frustrating Krabs ending. The Scent of Money is a slightly less annoying example where Mr. Krabs abuses Gary to steal money. Like literally stealing money. This episode gotta be a clever allegory where Bikini Bottom is USA and Krabs is white, because the cops literally don't even care about him stealing in this episode. In pretty much every other episode, the cops will assault people for pretty much existing. Mr. Puff goes to jail for 7 years in this episode, and all she did was litter. That is still kind of a good message though, as the ocean pollution has gotten really bad at this point. The punishment Krabs gets is literally just him having to spend the money he stole on surgery. So the moral of the episode is that if you steal money, the punishment is that you will get to spend it to pay off your expensive hospital bills? Huh, this episode really is an allegory for the USA. This is also not the first time where Mrs. Puff gets punished when Mr. Krabs should have been instead. In Summer Job, Krabs takes advantage of his girlfriend. That came out wrong. He forces Mrs. Puff to work for free at the Krusty Krab while the two of them are dating. Then, of course, it's her that goes to jail. Mrs. Puff usually gets the same treatment as Plankton in modern Spongebob, and when Krabs is in the episode, it gets multiplied by 100. She always gets punished when she really shouldn't be. I could pull some more examples, but it's just the same thing over and over. I mentioned one course meal earlier, and that is one of the most frustrating cases of this trope. Plankton can always get punished because he is the quote-unquote bad guy, while we are always supposed to be cheering for Krabs, even if he is psychologically torturing the other characters. So many episodes could be saved by giving Krabs some real karma. I'm gonna be continuing from the last episode of Worst SpongeBob Tropes by ending with talking a bit about how the trope has gotten in the most recent seasons. You could see that one of the worst examples I pulled was a season 11 episode, and there are sadly more recent appearances of the Krabs karma trope. I could give him a pass for Squidward's sick days because for how terrible that episode is, SpongeBob is the one doing the most damage in that episode. However, the episode still shows Krabs overworking and then prying on Squidward, who is still the one getting a bad ending because he was scared to go to work. It was just a couple of seasons ago where he literally tried to kill Squidward, but yeah. For all the dislike I have for modern SpongeBob, Krabs is usually not the target actually. He has gotten a bit better since the Dark Age and is one of the few characters that I can say has improved with seasons 11 and 12. The trope is not dead, but more usually than not, it's gone from the show in the new releases, and I can appreciate that. I'm putting a little teaser for next week's video here, I think. I haven't really scripted this video all that much, so yeah, you should be seeing something on the screen that indicates like kind of what we're talking about next week. Yeah, thanks for watching.